just like 57,000 other people did. People like Nicholas C.J., 45 years old from Glendale, Arizona, who wrote to say, "I've always taken care of my teeth and just couldn't understand why my gums were red, swollen, and receding. My dentist recommended me tartar removal. It was awful. It still hurts when I think about that scaler digging under my gums. Not to mention it didn't help at all, and one tooth got loose. Didn't really believe in your method, but tried it anyway because I was desperate. It's like my gums have grown back. My teeth seem whiter too. Thank you for this. Never going back to the doctor again." Or Kimberly M., 51 years old from Chicago, Illinois, who says, "Thomas, God bless you. I was sick with worry over my teeth. I was spitting blood every time I brushed, and one of my front teeth seemed to be moving. I hate dentists, and I sure didn't have money for an implant. Now everything is fine. Gums are clean and healthy, and no more loose teeth." These are just two of the real-life stories from people just like you, who have already used the method I'm about to share with you. Now, I'll give you all the details on how it works in just a second. But before I do, I want you to know who I am, why my unusual discovery turned the dental industry upside down, while saving thousands of people the pain and money of going through implants and sickening dental procedures, and how exactly will it help you rebuild your teeth and gums in 60 seconds before going to bed, even in the most severe of cases of tooth decay. So as you know, my name is Thomas Spear. I'm 52 years old and I live in a small town near San Francisco, California, with my wife Hannah. I've been a chemistry teacher for the past 30 years, and in the past 5 years, since my wife had to retire early due to an accident, I've also been working as a taxi driver. Life's never been too easy for me, but I don't complain. In fact, as you're about to see, had it not been for my two jobs, I wouldn't have come across this groundbreaking solution that is now changing the lives of so many people. You see, after getting my second job as a taxi driver, I started working long hours, especially at night, fueling up on coffee and sweets to stay awake or just find the energy to carry on. At first, I used to carry a toothbrush in my glove box and wash my teeth in gas stations, but after a while, I was just too exhausted for that. A few months later, my gums started bleeding. First time I noticed the toothpaste I spit out turned slightly pink. Then, each time I got to brush my teeth, I spitted out blood in the sink. No big deal, I thought. I have more important things to worry about. A little bleeding from brushing can happen to anyone. Nothing wrong with that, right? Wrong. Spitting out blood after brushing is dead wrong. It's true. It happens to more people than you think. A whopping 56% of Americans suffer from some form of gum disease. But this does not make it any less serious. You're about to see inside this presentation why you should never ignore this sign. So not long after something embarrassing happened, at school the other teachers kept turning their heads away when I was talking to them, or just made a step back to keep a distance. And once, I've even overheard a few of my students calling me Beetlejuice. If you don't know who that is, well, it's a movie character with rotten, horrible teeth. I went to the bathroom and looked at my teeth in the mirror, yellow with swollen and irritated gums. And as hard as it was to admit, it was my breath that kept driving everybody away, which explained why Hannah kept avoiding kissing me or even hugging me. But what really hurt like hell was when I wanted to take my granddaughter, Sarah, into my arms and she started crying. "I don't wanna. You make me vomit." Still, the worst was yet to come. Pain. Terrible, never-ending pulsating pain, even after popping painkillers like Tic Tacs. I was always moody, always tired, avoided to talk to people as much as I could. And on top of everything, my upper left molar seemed to be moving. It felt like one of those bad dreams when your teeth are falling, only it was really happening. My wife kept bugging me to go to the dentist. On one side, I knew she was right. On the other side, I kept postponing it and eating only on the left side. Listen, I'm a 6-foot-tall man, and I know how this sounds, but I'd rather pet a venomous, hairy, giant tarantula than go to the dentist. I get cold shivers up my spine just when thinking about it. The gruesome smells, the gut-wrenching instruments. But then, the dreadful night came. Hannah was babysitting our granddaughter, so she was spending the night at our son's house. I had a free shift, so I was happy to get into bed and finally get some sleep. All seemed to be just fine. My gums weren't swollen anymore, so I fell asleep with a glimpse of hope and got brutally woken up. I'll never forget the time, 12:47. Choking, unable to breathe, not knowing what was stuck in my throat. Hopelessly staring at the clock in the nightstand. A minute felt like eternity, from 12:47 to 12:48. Then, coughing up all the blood and the molar. I was sick to my stomach when I saw all the mess. I thought I almost died choking on a tooth in my sleep. The next morning, my cheek was swollen. After hearing all that had happened to me and seeing the way I looked, Hannah was worried sick. So I knew I had no choice. I had to go to the dentist. My heart was pounding out of my chest when I entered the cabinet. After a quick look into my mouth and an x-ray, the dentist gave me two frightening news. And please, keep listening, especially if you've ever dealt with bleeding gums. One, my gums were so damaged that I had passed right by gingivitis and landed into the dangerous land of periodontitis. Periodontitis is an advanced form of gum disease that begins with inflammation and bleeding and ultimately causes your gums to retract, your teeth to fall, plus bad breath and tooth decay. Not only that, but gum disease and periodontitis are also linked to respiratory infections, kidney disease, and even oral deadly diseases. All because, as you're about to see, it turns your mouth into a perfect environment for harmful bacteria to thrive in. So what was I supposed to do? Well, as the doctor put it, here's how much it would cost you to fix your gums at the dentist and what you would have to go through. Gum grafts, about $600 per gum, and no guarantee it will work. If your gums are seriously damaged, this could cost you up to thousands of dollars. Fillings and root canals to save the teeth that were already damaged, with prices that range from $500 to $2,000. That's a lot of money to ask for a lot of pain, if you ask me. And then there's the surgery to strengthen the gums, or in medical terms, pocket elimination surgery. It costs approximately $6,000. Or, my favorite one, remove the worst teeth and replace them with implants. Thinking an implant costs $4,500, best case scenario, that. According to the doctor, I needed at least 4. I might as well have sold one of my kidneys. Oh, but the list doesn't stop there. No matter the dental procedure you choose as your torture, know that you'll have to pay for maintenance, which can cost over $100 per session. To put it bluntly, expensive, lengthy, painful treatments that promise no real solution, and I assure you, no doctor could ever guarantee that any of those treatments would work. It's all a game of chance. Only it's your money, your time, and your health on the table. For example, did you know you have to wait for 1.5 years to know if your dental implant was a success or not? Implants are usually a 2-part process. First, putting in the implant, then waiting for the area to heal and covering it with a crown 3 to 4 months later. And then, only if 1 year passes without infections or other complications, can you finally breathe a sigh of relief. As if this depressing list wasn't, the dentist dropped a second bomb on me. I needed surgery. You see, my fallen tooth had a fractured root. A piece of this root was still buried deep inside my gums, causing an infection. So we needed to remove the remaining bits and fast, before the infection was going to spread even more. As the doctor explained to me, a tooth infection can invade your brain in a matter of hours and lead to severe complications and even death. Why? Because each one of your teeth is connected to your brain through tiny nerves. The infection can travel from the tooth to the nose to the eyes and ultimately to the brain. Here's how to tell if your infection needs immediate medical attention. It's a tip I learned from the doctor. If you experience confusion, headaches, and fever, you need to go to the hospital right away. As for my surgery, I'll spare you the details. Let's just say getting stung with a big anesthetic needle in your gums 5 times in a row and then butchered for 1 hour straight isn't something you want to remember. The most horrifying thing, however, was that even after the anesthetic from the surgery was gone, I couldn't feel my chin and my mouth was a little crooked. It took me 1 month to recover and regain the senses in my numb face. Meanwhile, I did a lot of research online to see if anybody else had been in my situation. Besides the only good advice I read, take B vitamins for facial nerve recovery and pray to God, I came across a study that shattered me to the core. Dental procedures and surgeries, implants included, can leave you disfigured. No wonder they have you sign tons of consent forms before the implant. Anything to cover their backs in case something goes wrong. So I could consider myself a fortunate case. After all these, one thing was sure. I was never going back to the dentist again. I started using a special toothpaste for gum disease, but with no success whatsoever. I was afraid to chew, always checking my teeth with my tongue to see if everything was fine. I began eating mostly soups and mashed potatoes, until one day it happened again. One of my front teeth was moving. That night I couldn't sleep. I was paralyzed with fear and tormented by thoughts. I was a full-grown man eating baby food on his way to lose his front teeth with no money for implants and risking life-threatening infections. That's when I took the decision to take the matter into my own hands and find a solution that I could afford. Go to the end of the earth if I had to. I couldn't possibly live like that. So I took some time off from teaching, which frankly was a relief as I was too embarrassed about my bad breath and bleeding gums to face my colleagues, and began spending my days in the biggest library in San Francisco, searching every corner. As you can imagine, it was not easy, and I can't tell you how many times I almost gave up. Well, there sure is a higher power out there, because barely 3 weeks later, I finally found the one thing that changed everything, that would end up giving me and over 57,000 other people just like yourself their good, strong teeth and gums back. Now, here's exactly what happens inside your mouth when you have a gum disease. It all starts with those dangerous bacteria lurking deep inside your gums. The bacteria are like small termites that are relentlessly chewing on your teeth and gums, leaving them bleeding and inflamed. You might have gotten the bacteria from food, water, or even the kissing or drinking after somebody else. In time, the bacteria, along with food debris, multiply, accumulate, and form the so-called plaque and calculus. The calculus plaque is like a toxic mold that spreads on your teeth walls, causing bad breath and providing an excellent home for the bacteria to thrive in. Most of the times, your body's natural defense system succeeds in healing the swelling, but there's a catch to it. Scars remain. This means that after every inflammation episode, your gums retract. Ultimately, they're too weak or too loose to hold your teeth. Not only that, but another disturbing thing happens, and you need to take action fast. The next numbers are nothing less than frightening, but the good news is there's a simple way out of all these, and you're going to discover it soon. According to a study conducted by the University of Michigan, there are 20 billion bacteria in your mouth. These bacteria reproduce every 5 hours, and if you go 24 hours without cleaning your teeth, and I'm going to show you the most efficient way to clean your teeth inside this presentation, those 20 billion become 100 billion. And after they feed on your gums, they start devouring the ligaments that hold your teeth and supports the bones. Your teeth loosen. The roots get fractured. And it's only a matter of time until you'll face infections, throbbing pain, and tooth decay. If you're thinking, as I did back then, all you have to do is clean your mouth of bacteria, think again. Here's what I discovered next. No dental or medical method can destroy the gum-eating bacteria. And here's why. This is not something you're going to hear from your dentist because they have no interest in you knowing this. Normally, doctors recommend brushing your teeth at least twice a day, flossing, or going through dental scaling procedures to get rid of the bacteria and tartar. But here's where it all goes wrong. No matter how well you clean your teeth, at least 10% of the bacteria will remain hidden inside the gum pockets. Why? Because no traditional or advanced dental cleaning method can reach that deep. Electronic toothbrushes don't stand a chance of removing the teeth-eating bacteria, as they only deal with the surface of the teeth. Dental floss might be good to clean the dental debris, but is very aggressive on your already inflamed gums. Mouthwash might cover the entire area and go deeper under the gums, but is not powerful enough to break the plaque. Actually, all it does is to attack your taste buds. While dental scaling, the deepest method of teeth cleaning, has to be done at least once a week, often because the bacteria respreads fast. But if done too often, dental scaling destroys the enamel. And without the enamel protecting your tooth, you will scream with pain. That I can guarantee. Now, if your tooth falls and you do have the money for an implant and you're also lucky enough for the operation to be a success, guess what? The bacteria can always cause an infection around the implant, resulting in inflammation of the gums and, in the worst case, leading to bone loss in the jaw itself. Plus, note that even if a tooth looks perfect at the surface, the remaining 10% of bacteria are still chewing on its roots. Moreover, every time you do one of the following things, the bacteria become even more resistant. 1. Eating hard food. Yes, I know how that sounds. But every time you take a bite, the bacteria go even deeper. Why? Because you put an incredible amount of pressure on your teeth, up to 141 pounds, therefore sheltering the colony of termites deep inside the gums. Number 2. Same thing happens at night if you're grinding your teeth. Chances you're doing during your sleep are very high, as up to 50% of Americans suffer from this condition, yet few are aware of it. So, what in the world could be powerful enough to reach the bacteria, destroy it for good, and clean the plaque? I was stuck, but not for long. As I met one of the most respected medical researchers, Dr. S.T. I'm using just his initials to protect his identity. Anyway, S.T. came every morning into the library and read tons of books on plants and herbs. His smile was so perfect that I couldn't help but stare every single time he greeted us. One time I just couldn't refrain myself. I'm sorry to bother you, but I couldn't not notice your teeth. I bet you had a lot of work done. Actually, none at all. So we got to talking. Dr. S.T. was retired for the past 2 years, and if he was to say the one thing he had learned in all his 40 years of medical research was that plants were far superior to drugs. His impeccable teeth were actually the result of a homemade soft bubble gum that he'd been chewing on every morning. Hearing all these, I began sharing my story. The terrible night I almost choked to death on my tooth, my gum disease, and all the embarrassment and pain it had caused me, the surgery, and what I discovered about the indestructible termite bacteria. You know, Dr. S.T. said, after listening carefully to my every word, there's one and only one thing that reaches every corner of your mouth and goes under your gums, your saliva. Seeing that I didn't quite understand what he was explaining, S.T. continued, the most important role of your saliva is to protect your teeth and gums. That's why it has antibacterial properties and contains lots of minerals and proteins. That's why the saliva is